Story number 1, the cabin in the woods. When I was 21, I took a summer job as a caretaker for a remote cabin deep in the forests of Montana. The job was simple: maintain the property, ensure the grounds were clean, and occasionally host guests who rented the cabin for weekend getaways. The cabin was isolated, surrounded by dense woods, and the nearest town was a 30-minute drive away. I didn't mind the solitude. I loved nature and thought it would be a peaceful way to spend the summer. One evening, after a long day of cleaning and preparing the cabin for a group of guests arriving the next day, I decided to take a walk through the woods to clear my head. The sun was setting, casting long shadows through the trees, and the air was crisp. I had my flashlight with me, but I didn't think I'd need it. I knew the trails well by then. As I walked deeper into the woods, I started to hear faint whispers. At first, I thought it was the wind rustling through the leaves, but the sound grew more distinct. It was like someone was murmuring just out of earshot. I stopped, my heart pounding, and scanned the area. The forest was eerily quiet except for those whispers. I called out, "Hello? Is someone there?" But there was no response. I decided to head back to the cabin, but as I turned around, I noticed a small figure standing between the trees about 50 feet away. It was a little girl, no older than 8, wearing a white dress. She was barefoot, her hair tangled, and she was just staring at me. My stomach dropped. There were no families staying at the cabin, and I hadn't seen any kids in the area all summer. "Hey, are you lost?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. She didn't answer. Instead, she turned and ran deeper into the woods. I hesitated for a moment, but I couldn't just leave her out there. I followed her, calling out for her to stop, but she kept running, always just out of reach. After what felt like an eternity, I realized I was completely lost. The trees all looked the same, and the sun had fully set, leaving me in near darkness. I turned on my flashlight, but the beam was weak, barely cutting through the thick shadows. That's when I heard it, a low, guttural growl coming from behind me. I spun around, but there was nothing there. The growl came again, this time from my left. I started to run, my heart racing, but no matter which direction I went, the growling followed. Finally, I saw a light in the distance. It was the cabin. I sprinted toward it, my legs burning, and slammed the door shut behind me. I locked every lock and checked every window, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. That night, I heard scratching at the door and faint whispers outside my window. I didn't sleep a wink. The next morning, the guests arrived, and I tried to act normal, but I couldn't stop thinking about the little girl and the growling. I never saw her again, but I still hear those whispers sometimes when I'm alone in the woods.